Welcome back to Traders Consigliere weekly analysis. And for the new viewers here, or anyone who's coming here for the first time, uh, we will be looking at the fundamentals, the technicals, right? So first, the fundamentals, we'll be looking at the news events that occurred in the last week and the upcoming week, what news events to look at, and then the technicals of the pairs that we specifically look at is Dow Jones, US30, SPX, gold, and British pound, Japanese yen. All right, so let's quickly look at the fundamentals first, and we're going to start off with the previous week, right? So let's see what occurred in the previous week and see if our fundamental bias has shifted, what has changed, right? Because we had a lot of heavy fundamentals last week. So um, we had the main important thing of last week was we had CPI, right? So CPI data came out for US dollar, and as expected, the inflation has dropped, right, with CPI, but we see a lower drop from the actual forecast, which is bearish sentiment for the US dollar, right? So we do see a quite a big difference in a drop, and actually if you do see how it's gradually been coming down for the last few weeks, right? But one thing to keep in mind with CPI data is the data is a bit manipulated, and that is due to the energy market, which is manipulated to mess with these numbers here, right? So the intricate details with the CPI data numbers I have posted in the Telegram group, so I won't be wasting any time here with that. So you can go join in the free Telegram group for more info about that. But this number is dropped, but it has been manipulated due to the energy market sector manipulation. Then we have the core CPI, which is a bit more truer to the CPI data. The reason is the core CPI data actually excludes food and the energy sector, right? And if you do look at the number, it has dropped very lightly, right? Very lightly, a bit, right? So this doesn't show a lot of difference, but the actual CPI number does show a bit of drop. So we also had FOMC meeting minutes in the same day. Nothing too different. They did mention from the meeting minutes, if you don't know, FOMC meeting minutes is the recorded minutes of the previous FOMC meeting. So this is a bit old, the data, but this does give us some extra insights to what occurred in the FOMC meeting. So most of the members did mention they did favor a 50 basis point rate hike, but due to the SVB bank collapse, they did favor to keep it a 25 basis point hike, because a higher rate hike will mess with the economy even further, and actually to give the banks a bit of breathing room. So that's what was mentioned in the FOMC meeting minutes. Nothing groundbreaking. Then we had the British pound gross domestic product, and the number has dropped, which is interesting to show maybe inflation may be coming down. And so this is interesting to see, because if you do remember, the UK GDP has been raging, right? The CPI number has been raging a lot. It's in the double digit. So to see GDP drop, it's a welcome sight, I would say, in these times. You have core PPI, producer price index for US dollar, and this number has dropped as well. Actually, a significant drop. Also the actual PPI number, which has dropped also significantly, and these all numbers with the PPI and the CPI data is telling us that we are bearish with the US dollar. So we have a bearish USD sentiment. And in the last day of the week, we had core retail sales, and these numbers all came in negative. Again, this does show that consumers are facing pressure because higher interest rates, lower retail sales, right? So these numbers are in the red. Again, US dollar sentiment bearish. So we do have an interesting consumer sentiment in a bit of a green here, right? So that's interesting to see. Not a big of a difference from last month. So I don't think I'll jump to any conclusions there. So for the current coming up week, for the upcoming trading week, the statistics to keep an eye on is the Empire State Manufacturing Index. Empire State is the New York, right? To see how the manufacturing index or the manufacturing companies have affected in New York. So that's important statistic to keep an eye on. We got British pound claimant count change, which is at 10.2k, and claimant count change, I believe, is the labor market, right? So people claiming unemployment related benefits, and that number is actually has gone up drastically, which is not a good sign for the British pound. We have CPI for British pound is coming out, and they are expecting a drop from 10.4% to 9.8, finally below double digits. So this is going to be very interesting to see. We have unemployment claims. Keep an eye on that. Philly manufacturing index, again manufacturing index for Philadelphia, and this number is dropping. Actually, has gone up, right? So this is going to be interesting to see as well. And at the last day of the week, we have flash manufacturing purchasing managers index, right? So these numbers are also coming in next week, and we do see a bit, not a lot of difference in the forecast though, a bit of a drop, right? So it's going to be, we're going to have volatility, but not as high volatility as last week, as we had CPI. So let's move into technicals now, and we will look at the dollar index first before we look at anything else. And the dollar index, like I mentioned from the previous analysis, we have a massive head and shoulders pattern, which is a bearish pattern on the dollar, right? This chart here actually measures the strength of the US dollar. And what do we see? We see a pattern, a bearish pattern. And what do we see? We are now breaking below the last support, an important area of support. And if you do zoom out, go down to the daily time frame, we see the prices now retesting the neckline. But I will still not confirm this as a confirmed head and shoulders pattern till I see a second leg that goes down there, breaking these lows, right? All these lows. So we are looking very bearish with the dollar at the moment, right? And now let's jump into the indices. Let's look at Dow Jones, US30 first. Let's look at the monthly chart, and we are halfway through the month. We have 2 weeks left. So the monthly candle isn't telling us much here. The bi-weekly candles, we do see a bullish push, right? Let's look at the weekly candle. Actually, the weekly is bullish, right? There's no mistaking that. We see a bearish pattern there, right? And we see how the structure has broken through. So we are bullish on the weekly. And the weekly candle closure also says it looks bullish, right? And it's broken above this trend line here, which I've drawn out on the daily time frame. So let me move into the daily time frame. So on the daily, we see, I mean, it's clear, right? I mean, there's no mistaking on how bullish this is, right? Just higher highs and higher lows, right? So very, very bullish. And now the question is, it's now broken through the trend line that I showed you, and it's now resisted here, right? So can we now hopefully see more buying pressure towards the top, or do we see a retracement? So on the 12-hour time frame, I see heavy momentum throughout this area here at 33,600, let's call it. And now from what I see, I'll determine 2 areas of interest. One would be this area right down here, where we have heavy liquidity still laying there because we broke through here, right? And price never came back to retest. So I would call this area at, let's say, actually I'm going to mark off a little bit lower down here, which would be at 32, let's call it 32,500 or the 600 range, right? Remember, price is a zone. Just take these numbers as a reference points, right? So that's one point I would be looking at, and I really like this area. We have a lot of liquidity laying down here. And then if there is another point possibly that I could see is maybe if price does come down here and still finds support, maintains the support possibly, but I do not think it will be higher probability, but I'm going to mark it out anyways, right? So risk accordingly. So these are the 2 areas here. Let's look at SPX, S&P 500, monthly time frame bullish, right? And the weekly time frame is also obviously bullish, right? Very similar to US30. So the daily time frame, obviously it's extremely bullish. We went into a slight bit of consolidation there, right? But now price has finally broken through. Also, not only broken through, retested that consolidation area there, right? And also broken through the trend line that I've drawn out here. If you want to see the trend line all the way through, right? So it's broken through there at the moment. And let's look at the lower time frames. Let's look at 12-hour time frame. And just like actually, if you look at this chart here, just like US30, we see liquidity around this area here, right? Price still needs to retest that area, and if price does drop there, I would be looking to take long positions from there, right? So this area would be at, let's call it around here, let's say right this area here, and possibly if price can retrace all the way to this yellow zone there where we have a lot of demand, that's probably will be the place that I'll be looking to take longs. So this will be around 39.80, right? And again, if price does not retrace there, I would see if price can come back, find support at this area, that right, and this would be lower probability for sure, so risk accordingly, and this would be at 40.80. It's quite simple. Wait, I would preferably wait for the lower points to get retested, possibly, right? Let's look at gold. Gold has been raging on for the past few weeks, right? So in this week we have finally starting to see a bit of bearish pressure, right? But not a lot. This is a doji candle. Doji candle signifies doesn't tell us a lot of information. Price opened up and closed around the same area, right, for the week, and but structure remains bullish, right? It's very bullish. Daily is bullish, clearly bullish. Higher highs, higher lows, no mistaking there, right? So let's look at the 12-hour time frame to see a bit more of details. And from what I see, actually, on the 4-hour as well, we have actually gotten the retest that we wanted around the zone here, the yellow zone that I've drawn out, where we have demand. So price at the moment, I would say if price does come back, retraces towards the zone here, around here, towards that weekly structure point as well, possibly we can take long positions there, and this would be at, let's call it the 1990. 1990 has been a very heavy area of demand, right, for the past few weeks. We have been calling out this area for multiple times from the past few weeks, right? So this area is what I've been looking at, this area specifically, right? And again, price also confluences with the daily trend line there. So it intersects the daily trend line. We have a weekly structure point area, we have a demand area, we have a strong support as well. So a lot of confluences. Possibly we can take a long position there. We're going to look at British pound, Japanese yen. So monthly time frame, nothing that's giving me much details. GJ has been extremely choppy for the past few weeks, and what we see is bullish pressure, right, towards the top. Weekly is bullish, daily is bullish, and the daily did, I think from the previous week I might have mentioned, it did break consolidation there. That area is consolidation. It's broken through consolidation, and if you do look at the 12-hour time frame, we do see price did break through there. So let me actually perhaps mark that out. I mean, this area is where consolidation broke, right? So this purple zone there. Let me go down to the 4-hour time frame. So we do see clearly, right, what happened. The 4-hour candles, they broke through completely, and yet we have a retest of the zone, which is not only a gap in the market, right? Not only a gap in the market. We have heavy demand area here, a lot of buyers, aggressive buyers. Also, we have consolidation retest as well, right? Not only also consolidation retest, we have a daily structure point as well. So a lot of confluences, and therefore this would be an area I would be taking along, which would be at 164,700, let's call it. And I did mention this in the group, in the free Telegram group, this point in the week when it did break through. So I would suggest to join the free Telegram group to getting that updates. So that would be with all the pairs for now. With all the pairs, any other pairs you guys want me to look at, or any questions before I end the stream? Yep. All right, I don't see any questions, so um, I would I do for any updates of the trades throughout the week, because these entry points can change, price structure can change, daily structure can change. So I would suggest to join the free Telegram group, um, and I'll keep you guys updated over there. So I do have a question from the live chat. Uh, we have they asked, is there any tips for complete beginners? I mean, if you're a complete beginner, I do know this tutorial or this analysis can be a bit daunting, right? It's extremely heavy. I would suggest to actually first, before I mean, it's a good, you already have initiative by coming to the weekly analysis, but I would suggest to first start learning the basics. Maybe go through babypips.com, start learning the basic principles of trading. And obviously, we have a free Telegram group. You can ask us any questions there. We have a lot of other beginners as well who can probably benefit from your own questions, right? So, all right. So we will meet next week. Please subscribe and like the YouTube video, right? And join the free Telegram. A lot of free knowledge keeps getting dropped there. A lot of fundamentals, a lot of insights, right? So see you guys next week.